Oh, Dexter, sweetie.
Yeah?
Dexter's Laboratory, 1996, cartoon explored. All of us spent hours sitting in front of the television watching iconic TV shows like Johnny Bravo and the Powerpuff Girls on the Cartoon Network. Today, we're going to be looking at one of the most memorable shows from the channel, Dexter's Laboratory. The show ran from 1996 to 2003 for 4 seasons. It follows the life of a boy genius called Dexter. This boy genius had a hidden lab where he conducts his experiments, which are usually spoiled by his tall and lanky elder sister Dee Dee. The concept was initially sparked by a sketch by the series author Genndy Tartakovsky. The sketch was of a tall, slender girl, Dee Dee, dressed as a ballet dancer. Dexter was inspired by Tartakovsky's elder brother Alex and was designed as a short, block-shaped character with a pair of thick glasses. Dexter was meant to be opposed to Genndy's Dee Dee initially, but he ended up being the main character. The show was released as a pilot episode as a part of the Cartoon Network project What a Cartoon, and has been a beloved show ever since. What is up, guys? This is Devi, welcoming you to another marvelous video. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
This is a good one.
TV, could you pass the popcorn?
What the cartoon television series is all about. The program centers around a young man named Dexter who has a large top-secret laboratory stuffed with all of his inventions. The first episode of the series debuted on Cartoon Network in the United States on April 28, 1996. The final new episode debuted in 2003. Boomerang, a sibling station of Cartoon Network, has been airing the show since 2006. Dexter's Laboratory received the go-ahead to become Cartoon Network's first ever animated series on April 28, 1996, following the airing of a few pilot episodes in 1995. Genndy Tartakovsky's work revolutionized everything and paved the way for many hours of original animation to follow. Today, it appears normal for CN to run exclusively original programs such as Adventure Time or Steven Universe, but that wasn't always the case. Dexter's Lab was heavily influenced by the timeless, theatrical type of cartoons from the late 1940s and 1950s in terms of look and feel. Dexter himself, his sister Dee Dee, and the other characters in the series had extremely basic designs that didn't even try to resemble realistic human figures, and thank God for that. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had the iconic characters. However, this was a radical departure from what Disney was doing at the time, and was much more in line with the style of vintage Hanna-Barbera and UPA cartoons. Dexter was almost like a television comic strip due to its brief format. The majority of episodes lasted around 7 minutes, and as such, it largely relied on sound effects, puns, and slapstick violence for amusement. It excelled at achieving all of this. The main character of the story is our boy genius Dexter, who keeps a hidden laboratory in his bedroom beneath a bookshelf that features cutting-edge technology. Obviously, the laboratory has a secret access passage. However, Dexter is frequently seen clashing with his elder sister Dee Dee because she manages to enter his lab despite his best attempts to keep her out. Dee Dee invades every security measure and once inside enjoys playing in the lab, frequently ruining his inventions. For unknown reasons, Dexter is able to keep his lab a secret from his ignorant, upbeat parents, and at the start of the series, Dee Dee is the only other character who is aware of it. Dexter's largely one-sided and fierce competition with his sister, in which he never triumphs despite his brilliance, and the exaggerated stereotypes of both his high intelligence and social ineptitude are some of the show's funniest elements. There is also a lot of bizarre and surreal humor. While his parents have different American accents, Dexter happens to have a Russian accent. The connection between Dexter and Dee Dee served as the foundation for the whole series, setting the standard for character development in all of Cartoon Network's programs. The two siblings were generally hostile to one another, with Dee Dee routinely ruining Dexter's lab and Dexter continuously berating her idiocy. We never disliked Dexter because he was far from a dangerous character, but it was always entertaining to see him struggle and lash out in rage. However, since the show was not serialized, their relationship was not explored a lot.
Please, Mom, please. No, Dad?
Ask your mother.
The main characters of the cartoon series. The series' primary protagonist is Dexter. He is a young genius who hides his secret laboratory from his parents. Every time he produces an invention, he embarks on an exciting journey while working in his laboratory. He is constantly at battle with his older sister Dee Dee, and for some reason he has a Russian accent even though his parents are Americans. Dexter's vivacious elder sister Dee Dee is known for bursting into his lab and wrecking all of his innovations. She consistently tampers with his creations and derails his objectives. Dee Dee is a ballerina who likes doing frilly girly things. Dexter's worst nemesis is Mandark. Dexter is smarter than Mandark, which makes him envious, and the two of them frequently argue. In addition, he is also a young prodigy with a private lab. Their dynamic is also fun to watch as there is constant bickering and they want to one-up each other. Dexter always needs to think of distractions and methods to prevent his mom, from learning about his laboratory. Dad is Dexter's upbeat father who always sees the good in everything. He too is unaware of Dexter's laboratory. The closest buddy of Dexter is Douglas E. Mordecai III. He is a nerd like him and has similar hobbies of his own. They engage in geeky activities together. They will also go on adventures, encounter difficulties along the way, and attempt to navigate their way out of sticky situations. Because they are geeks, Douglas and Dexter are frequently targeted by bullies. Occasionally, though, they show the bullies that they are actually awesome. Dee Dee's imaginary companion, Kosala Goopagoop, often known as Koosie or Koos, is a dumb and irritating rainbow happy dragon that resides in an imaginary place called Koosland. Dee Dee occasionally travels to Koosland to play with him there while embarking on her own excursions. Like Dexter's lab, Dee Dee keeps Kosala Goopagoop a secret from her parents. In the first episode of the show, D-Dimensional, we explore this dynamic between Dee Dee and Dexter. In this episode, Dexter gives Dee Dee the go-ahead to go through time and alert him of one of his inventions. Dee Dee must work along with her former self to convince Dexter during that time because he is resistant. When a monster emerges through an interdimensional gateway that Dexter has opened, he immediately writes a message and hands it to Dee Dee, telling her to travel back in time and give it to him before he opens the doorway. Dee Dee switches on the time machine and approaches it, but Dexter informs her that she should be inside the machine. The next part of the episode features Monkey, an undercover superhero. Dexter is shown testing on Monkey and then berating him, telling him that he will never be anything more than an ordinary monkey. However, things change up real fast when there is a monster made up of what one can only assume to be lava. Dexter's lab shows signs of volcanic activity, indicating the presence of the monster. The funny thing is that the poor monster just wants to get some sleep, which he is not able to due to the constant hustle and bustle of the city. Monkey shows up at the location of turmoil and makes sure that the monster goes to sleep, only to be woken up by the noise again. The last part of the episode is titled Maternal Combat. Dexter wakes Mom up in the room with Dad and tells her that she's running late for breakfast. Mom drifts off again, and Dee Dee tells Dexter that their mom is sick. While Dee Dee takes him out of the room, Dexter begins to worry. Dee Dee tells Dexter to tidy up downstairs while she prepares the food. Dexter chokes when a plume of smoke enters his mouth while he is dusting the furniture. He is quite upset over the fact that his mother is sick. He doesn't believe in doing chores. He thinks those are things done by a mom only. Dee Dee is preparing a pie as he enters the kitchen after kicking the duster away. Later, after serving the pie to Dexter, Dee Dee informs him that she modified the recipe by adding mud. And of course, there were worms in it, which Dexter ate and thought were delicious. But once he found out that there was mud in it, he spat out the pie. Dexter then goes to his lab to create a robotic mother to take care of the house. Later, Dexter follows Mom Droid into the kitchen. There, he checks out her capabilities before asking her to cook him a PB&J sandwich. The Mom Droid says she will do so only after he has cleaned his room, which makes him wonder if the new mom is a little too realistic. Mom Droid is then seen rushing about the house cleaning as Dexter sits in the recliner eating his meal. Dee Dee snatches Mom Droid's remote control while slipping an arm over Dexter's head, putting him in a chokehold. You know, regular sibling stuff. Dexter is then dressed when Mom Droid places the laundry on his head. Then the siblings start fighting over the controller, making Mom Droid act strangely. Dee Dee and Dexter are still fighting over the controller while the home is getting run down by the Robo-Mom. Then Dexter arrives at his lab to construct Mom Droid 1000. Obviously, since this one is an upgrade, she greets him by shooting a laser at the original. The Mom Droids are made to battle using the controls by Dexter and Dee Dee. The conflict worsens and causes significant damage throughout the area. Dexter and Dee Dee witness Mom Droid 1000 hurl the family sofa out the window as they watch Dad arrive at the house. There is evidently not enough time for them to quickly clean up the mess, so they both return to the house. But none of that stops the siblings from continuing to fight. And Dee Dee slaps Dexter's chin, which causes his head to stretch. Dad, however, doesn't notice anything and just says hello to everyone and goes to his room in classic dad fashion. The second episode is also divided into parts. The first part is called Dexter's Dodgeball. In this episode, we see Dexter getting ready for school on a Monday morning. He makes it to gym class on time using his doctor's explanation to get out of playing. Dexter's excuse is exposed as a lie by the temporary gym instructor, who then makes the kid genius participate in class. Dexter cringes as he witnesses many youngsters being hit with dodgeballs. The bullies who play dodgeball beat him and destroy his glasses when he is the last one left. On Tuesday, one of the three bullies throws a dodgeball into the air and Dexter runs circles around it. He then freezes in place when it hits him on the head. On Wednesday, Dexter tries to evade a dodgeball that has the word Boyd inscribed on it and was rolling toward him, but he stumbles and the dodgeball leaves a mark on his skull. Dexter spent almost the entire day on Thursday dodging dodgeballs that were pursuing him around the school. He looks inside encyclopedias at the school library to avoid dodgeballs. Dexter takes advantage of this opening to flee, but the dodgeballs catch him before a window. Dexter leaps through the window while being pursued by the dodgeballs, and since he has nowhere to hide, on a Friday, a bully throws a dodgeball that strikes Dexter in the crotch. Dexter cries out in anguish, his eyes filling with tears, and he collapses. He gets made fun of by the lads. Later on in the evening, Dexter seems to have a dream in which three shadowy figures, who appear to be devils, mock him before being defeated by some beam of light. When Dexter glances up, he notices his humanoid robot and has a thought. The next Monday, Dexter shows up at the park with his creation and turns it on in front of the three bullies, sending them fleeing in fright. Dexter groans in tiredness after taking out the bullies. When Dee Dee tosses a ball towards his brother, Dexter as well as the exoskeleton tumble to the ground. It is a fun, violent way of shutting up bullies, which we are always up for. The next part of the episode is called Dexter's Assistant. In this, Dexter is shown developing a transportation device at his lab. The countdown starts as soon as he switches it on, but then Dexter realizes he hasn't activated the key that would start the countdown. He rushes to the button, which is all the way somewhere at the bottom of the lab, to swiftly hit it, but he is too late and the power is cut off. Dee Dee is obviously present when the electricity comes back and tells him that he can ask for her assistance in hitting the button. Dexter chuckles incredulously at this, but he forces her to do it simply for laughs. Dee Dee keeps missing the button despite her attempts to press it. Dexter then shouts at her and tells her to leave his lab. Dexter feels that hiring a lab assistant is necessary. Dexter then enters a room containing a lot of brains. He grabs a brain and leaves in search of a suitable container, human or otherwise. He approaches a mouse and then dismisses it because it is too little. Then he approaches a huge robot and dismisses it because it is too enormous. Then Dee Dee appears. Dexter is left without other options, so he must make her his assistant. Dee Dee becomes intelligent after Dexter implants a brain inside of her. Once more, Dexter drives Dee Dee to the vehicle and climbs inside. Dexter is informed by Dee Dee that she doesn't believe this would work, but he disregards her objection, turns on the machine, and instructs her to press the button, which she does. Dexter nevertheless does his own thing and gets blown off by the machine, which then malfunctions and shuts off the electricity once more. Dee Dee would show Dexter the error in his calculations before telling his computer to switch the lights back on, which infuriated Dexter, who claimed that only he could command his computer. Dexter decides to mix chemicals afterward. He is only allowed to do one drop, so he's being extremely cautious. Dee Dee approaches him and begins to put pressure on him. When Dexter tells her to remain quiet, he puts too much solution into the experiment, causing it to explode and set his hair on fire. Dee Dee puts it out using a pail of water after that and offers him a hair-growing supplement. Later, Dexter is seen handling fuses while sporting a mass of long, flowing hair. Dee Dee explains to him which fuses are okay and which fuses are inappropriate, but Dexter claims to know what he's on about. But then Dexter severs the incorrect cable and it bursts in his face. He is informed by Dee Dee that everyone is mistaken. Dee Dee then exits and declares that she does not need to assist Dexter after he shouts at her to leave his lab, and also that he does not need her assistance. She then hands him a toy monkey and tells him he may use it as a helper. Later, Dexter exhibits one of his fantastic creations at the science fair, but Dee Dee, who created a merry-go-round machine, wins instead. Dexter then shouts at his monkey toy because he is upset with it. The tale comes to an end when the toy monkey slams its cymbals into Dexter's nose. Dexter's Assistant is one episode where you can really see the dynamic of the brother-sister duo at its best. There are countless hilarious moments between the two, which makes it one of the most memorable episodes. The third episode is called Dexter's Rival, which features Mandark, who is, of course, his rival. The episode starts when Dexter is welcomed back as the top student on the first day of the new school year by his instructors and classmates. The professors then praised a new pupil, Mandark, since he outperformed Dexter in terms of intelligence. Yikes! Dexter sobs after school as he has finally managed to meet his match. The only issue is that he doesn't take it like a good sport. Dexter is confronted by Mandark, who claims that a young boy informed him that Dexter has a laboratory. Dexter believes that the only thing that he has and Mandark doesn't is a lab. However, Mandark shows Dexter his own lab after being disappointed with Dexter's. Dexter is astounded to discover how much larger Mandark's lab is and how intelligently superior Mandark appears to be. Dexter is then given the option of either becoming Mandark's henchman or closing down his facility and stopping any further research. Dexter decides to close his lab and stop doing any further tests going forward. The following day, he attends school miserably, only to find that his instructors and classmates have abandoned him and are now praising Mandark like they once did Dexter. "Hello, Dexter," shouts Dee Dee as she approaches Dexter. Mandark hears this, and just like that, he falls in love with Dee Dee. He approaches Dexter and asks him if he can ask her out. Dexter initially objects to the request, but then decides to comply since he would have the perfect chance to get retribution because Dee Dee, being Dee Dee, would end up destroying Mandark's lab just like she does with his lab. Mandark is then inaudibly given friendly bro advice by Dexter on how to bring Dee Dee to his place. Dee Dee follows a trail of chocolates that Dexter leaves from her room to Mandark's residence. Mandark welcomes her to his home and leads her inside his lab when she gets there. He says he wants to dance with her, and she dances awkwardly all over his lab, destroying everything in the process. Dexter observes all of this from his lab, which he has now reactivated so that he may carry out more experiments. He is holding a root beer bottle in jubilation. Dexter is pretty content now that he has been reunited with his one true lab, his computer. The second part of the episode is another episode from the Dial M for Monkey series. All the Dial M for Monkey episodes start with the same berating from Dexter. In this episode, Agent Honeydew calls Monkey while she and two other agents are drifting hopelessly in space. He flies over to them and returns them to base after receiving her telepathic communication. The commander praises Monkey for saving him, but he immediately turns to Honeydew, who reveals what happened. It all happened when they were patrolling Sector 12. They were overwhelmed by a fleet of unknown warships, who destroyed their ships before they had a chance to react. The commanders continue, saying that all they are aware of is Earth's course. He then orders Monkey to look into it. When Monkey gets to the fleet's position, he is shocked to see a space station leading the way. A dark person is watching him as he destroys all of the ships that are firing at him. The person greets Monkey when he enters the space station and explains his strategy for annihilating Earth. The figure is subsequently identified as Simeon, an anthropomorphic chimpanzee. Simeon attempts to reason with Monkey by asking him what his issue is with man, but Monkey responds with his own query. What was man's issue with him? Then he shares his own story with Monkey. Simeon was originally intended to be the first primate in space, but the project was a complete failure. He was launched into a radiation belt by an explosion that was brought on by a break in the hull of his ship. He was altered by the gamma rays there, becoming stronger and more intelligent than before, even to the point where he was able to conjure up physical objects with his mind. He then invested 50 years in creating the space station he is currently living in. Simeon then makes an attempt to win Monkey over by accusing humans of doing nothing while he puts his life in danger for them, and even claims that no one has ever treated him with genuine compassion. None of these things sway Monkey. Instead, he feeds Simeon a banana that Honeydew gave him earlier, which helps him combat his manipulation. The banana works wonders, and the mutant chimpanzee quickly recognizes his mistake at this point and comes to the conclusion that he is no better than the humans who caused his mishap. He then makes a promise to start over, but Monkey orders him to first destroy the things he has made out of retaliation. Simeon causes the space station to self-destruct after hearing Monkey's wise words. After being taken to a jungle by Monkey, the mutant chimp strips off all of his clothing save for his underpants and swings off to begin a new life. The third part of the episode is titled Old Man Dexter. It again features a wonderful banter between Dee Dee and Dexter. In this episode, Dexter's family meets on a Saturday night to see Santa Claus versus the Wolfman in the living room. Dexter leaps in excited to see, but his mother informs him that he must wait till he is older. Dexter leaves for his bedroom in utter disappointment. Dexter asks Mom to let him stay up the next Saturday night, but she refuses. He asks Dad, but he doesn't hear back from him on it. Dexter tries to watch TV in the living room on the third Saturday night, but his mother sends him to bed yet again. From the railing, Dexter can see Mom, Dad, and Dee Dee laughing at the TV show as he climbs up the stairs. But Dexter's brain starts churning with an idea after hearing Mom's comments in his head. The Hydra Cosmetic Accelerator, a device he created, is where Dexter goes on the fourth Saturday morning to change into a guy who is 21 years old. Dee Dee enters the lab and hits a key on the keyboard of the Hydra Cosmetic Accelerator, and soon after, Dexter emerges from the building looking much older than 21. When Mom summons Dexter and Dee Dee for lunch, Dee Dee eagerly exits Dexter's room, but poor old man Dexter takes his time down the stairs. The family gathers in the kitchen that evening for dinner. While Mom, Dad, and Dee Dee enjoy steak, old man Dexter receives some antibiotics and some applesauce like an old man who literally cannot eat. The funniest part is that nobody really bats an eye when they see a 95-year-old Dexter. Dee Dee decides to help Dexter, who is having problems eating, by taking his applesauce, putting it in an IV drip, and sticking a needle into his arm. At 8, Dexter is knocked over as Dad, Mom, and Dee Dee rush to the living room to see the late early movie. Dexter requests that Dad pass the bowl of popcorn to him in the living room. When Dee Dee receives the bowl, she hands it to Dexter, but receives no response since Dexter has slept off. Dee Dee, again just being Dee Dee, starts crying because she thinks Dexter has died, only for her mother to tell her that he is just too old to stay awake anymore.
Now open your hands and close your eyes and you will get a big surprise.
Cartoon casts. The first 2 seasons of Dexter and the first episodes of the third were voiced by Christine Cavanaugh, who left voice acting in 2001 for personal reasons. He was replaced with Candy Milo because of this. Allison Moore, who was a close friend of Tartakovsky, was cast as Dee Dee. After the first season, however, she left the program since voice acting was no longer her thing. Catherine Cressida subsequently took over the part. However, before Cressida took over for the 4th season, Moore made a brief comeback as Dee Dee's voice in the 3rd season. Mom was voiced by Kath Soucie, Dad by Jeff Bennett, and Mandark by Eddie Deason.
Dexter, your bunny pajamas! And I thought you hated wearing those.
Production. The inspiration for the entire series happened when Genndy Tartakovsky was a student at CalArts. He first designed a ballerina, Dee Dee, who served as the inspiration for Dexter's laboratory. Tartakovsky opted to combine the tall, slender female dancing with a short, blocky counterpart, who then became Dexter. The 2 characters were unidentified until Tartakovsky began developing the idea for Cartoon Network. Tartakovsky chose Dee Dee to be artistic, whereas Dexter would be more interested in science to better contrast the 2 personalities. Tartakovsky said, "It actually started with Dee Dee. I drew this skinny, big-headed girl dancing. When I had finished her, I thought, what would be the opposite of her? So I drew a block, and that's Dexter." Interestingly, both names Dee Dee and Dexter were taken from name books. Tartakovsky was drawn to Dexter because it sounded academic, while he was drawn to Dee Dee for its originality and how well it fits the character's 2 ponytails. Tartakovsky pondered naming the series Dartmouth and Daisy before deciding on these choices. Tartakovsky said that Dartmouth doesn't exactly glide off the tongue, which is quite true, and that the name Daisy was already strongly connected to Disney, so he abandoned his idea. The series' premiere episode Changes was being produced when they decided on the name Dexter's Laboratory for the TV show. The sibling interaction between Tartakovsky and his elder brother Alex served as inspiration for a chunk of Dexter's Laboratory. Tartakovsky admitted that he was probably a pest to his elder brother while they were growing up, likening himself to Dee Dee and Alex, who went on to become a computer engineer, to Dexter. Tartakovsky said that Alex had prevented him from playing with intricate toy soldiers back then, just like Dexter tries to keep Dee Dee away from his inventions, to highlight one of the similarities between his upbringing and the series. When talking about the fact that Dexter, for some reason, has a Russian accent, Tartakovsky said that Dexter considers himself a highly serious scientist, and many well-known scientists have accents, so he should also have one. Tartakovsky stated it in an interview that nobody knows if the character is pretending to be a German scientist or is speaking naturally, and that it is up to the audience to determine whether or not the accent is an affectation. Dexter's dialect was somewhat influenced by a weird French accent his roommate from college used to emulate, as Tartakovsky had said in a 2012 Reddit AMA. Clearly, inspiration from art can come from anywhere. Funnily enough, he had in previous interviews said that it wasn't supposed to suggest any particular ethnicity. Tartakovsky also found inspiration for the show in his upbringing in Chicago as an immigrant. Like Dexter, he too used to have a really thick accent as a kid, and despite living in a multicultural area, kids would make fun of him for it. Tartakovsky revealed to the New York Times that as a youngster, he was less self-assured than the character he created. He said, "The one thing about Dexter is if he doesn't fit in, he'll start his own club. He's not afraid to be an outsider."
Dexter!
I do not have any more time to spend on this foolishness.
Interesting facts about the show. In the show, we never get to know Dexter's full name. The reason for this was that the staff never agreed on the last name or a first name for the Dexter family. So Dexter's parents just became mom and dad. Dexter's Lab is the first Cartoon Network original to incorporate sound effects from other classic Hanna-Barbera programs like Yo Yogi and Two Stupid Dogs. After Hanna-Barbera cartoons shut down in 2001 and was absorbed by Warner Brothers Animation, further seasons that are re-recorded and produced by Cartoon Network Studios employs normal sound effects from Cow and Chicken. The first 2 seasons episodes were created by Hanna-Barbera, while the 3rd and 4th seasons episodes were produced by Cartoon Network Studios instead, when the company shut down, after which Bill Hanna's estate merged with Warner Brothers Animation. Due to the extensive use of profanity, the Dexter's Laboratory episode Rude Removal was never shown on television. However, Genndy Tartakovsky did not care about the ban at all, and has played this episode since February 1998 at animation festivals without a care in the world. On January 22, 2013, Adult Swim posted the complete episode online after Tartakovsky claimed he still had the full controversial episode with him back in the 2012 Reddit AMA. This last fact is for comic lovers. Genndy Tartakovsky read a lot of Marvel and DC comic books after relocating to the United States, and these superheroes served as the inspiration for the characters of Justice Friends in the series. The Incredible Crunk is a spoof of the Incredible Hulk, while Major Glory is a spoof of Superman and Captain America. Thor is parodied in Val Halen. The name Val Halen alludes to both Van Halen, a renowned classic rock band, and Valhalla, the Viking heaven. Black Panther's spoof in the show is White Tiger. Silver Samurai is also parodied in the show by Sam R.I.
Well, I cannot tell you the details, but it's stuff like space travel, teleportation...
Future for the cartoon show. In recent years, there has been a surge in the rebooting of TV shows from the 90s and early 2000s. Iconic shows we had. However, Dexter's Laboratory, a timeless classic, is yet to get a reboot. Fans, including me, believe that the show was gone too soon, but a reboot might help fill the void it left. It would also help create a new generation of cultured people. We feel that Dexter's Laboratory is one of the best shows to have come out of Cartoon Network. The chunky and highly cartoony art style is quite funny and vibrant, while the humor is always fresh. The show, despite being in segments of 7 minutes, is a masterpiece of a cartoon. Let us know what you think of it in the comments below. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, everybody, and be safe. Thanks, everyone.
Ah, that's better. Where is the rest of me and my altogether self?